There's rain coming. How do you know? Because there's three, black cockatoos sitting in a balar tree. If you're someone that lives from and off the land, you're so observant to everything. It's the detail in a work that makes the difference, I think, when it comes to writing about rural Australia.
So this is the village of Boomai, population of about 75 people at last count, I believe. We have a Pioneer Hotel, we have a community co-op store.
Fabulous little town, and it's 26 k's from Murkai, where I work. The Alexander family first arrived here in 1893, so I'm fourth generation. We have a very, very long tenure with the land. I'm very aware of, those members of my family that have gone before me, even though I haven't met them. Like, I'm walking where they've walked. I'm, working where they've worked. My great-grandfather's buried on one of our properties.
His special spot amongst the trees and surrounded by the wildlife and the country that he loved.
So when my great-grandfather first selected our property, he chose this site here for the homestead near the banks of the Woden Creek in northwestern New South Wales. Sometime later, after they selected here, the local Aboriginals actually approached him and told great-grandfather that this area was subject to heavy flooding. And so on that advice, he relocated the homestead site some miles to the north. It gives me great stories. I am very fortunate in that we have this huge wealth of archival material going back like 120 plus years. This stuff is invaluable. I know exactly what the weather conditions were going to be like in, January 1951. But most of my stories, have to be honest, usually come from sitting down at the kitchen table with my parents, having a cup of tea or whatever, and Dad will just come out with something that might have happened 50 or 60 years ago. That is my great-grandfather, and that's my grandfather as a little boy sitting on the wool bale. So often it's a combination of something that's been passed down with the archival material from the family history. And then I use the landscape, I use the Whaling Creek. When it's a writing day, I have to be very strict. I have to sit down, have my coffee, light my little candle. And then I sit there and I have to write. And I just say to myself, Nicole, you've got to do 1,500 words today. And if that takes you 5 hours or if that takes you to midnight, then you have to sit there until you do it. I'm torn between wanting a more physical lifestyle and then also having this compulsion to write and create these stories. Being confined to a space and a desk, looking at a screen is certainly not my ideal job. But once I'm in there with the characters and I'm using my own family history and background to do the research and create the stories, I just think, how blessed is that? Really. Every time one of my books comes out, I'm it arrives in the mail and I open it up and really it's like my first novel. So I haven't lost any of that excitement. When I'm outside, just driving around the property, surrounded by the natural environment, that's my home. And my second home is when I'm sort of in front of the laptop and I'm creating my worlds. being a bush girl, my love story is with the land we make our living from, you know, what surrounds us. I know the waterways, I know the land. Walk around in my world to breathe the air that I'm breathing, to see the stuff that I'm seeing and feeling, you know, because I'm sharing my world. And it's a beautiful world.